Hey everybody, and welcome back to another video. So in this video I'm going to continue to talk about SPS and some tips on choosing and placing these corals. One key to keeping an eye-catching SPS dominated reef is to plan ahead and think about what the reef might look like in a year or two when it matures. Do your homework and gather all the knowledge you can about the corals you are interested in adding. Every reef keeper starts with a blank canvas and has the opportunity to create their own masterpiece. But certain best practices and tips on choosing and placing SPS can be followed to achieve success. Understanding and anticipating growth rates and patterns is critical, and I can't tell you how many times I failed to take these factors into consideration. For instance, I love the color and pattern of the Acropora young guy or Green Valley Slimer, but it grows fast, really fast, and can quickly overtake a significant amount of real estate. In my old 225-gallon tank, I put a 3-inch mini colony of the Slimer in the bottom left-hand corner of my tank, and it grew right to the top of my 24-inch tall tank. In fact, the tips seemed to be extending outside the top of the tank. The same is true with bird's nest corals. They can grow like weeds and encroach on other corals, inhibiting their growth. I had a couple of bird nest colonies that I had to frag constantly due to the quick growth. Given the accelerated growth, these colonies started to die off at the base since that part of the coral was not receiving sufficient light and flow. One option in this instance is to replace the entire colony with a large and healthy frag from the top of the colony. A coral can also start to show signs of rapid tissue necrosis or RTN on the main part of the coral if it grows too large. Again, lack of flow and light can trigger this type of event. This happened to my giant ORA Hawkins colony, but fortunately I was able to frag large chunks in time to save it. M. capricornus or caps are beautiful scrolling corals, but they are also aggressive and can easily cover other corals that lie beneath. Place these corals lower down and give them a wide berth if you want them in your tank. Another consideration in planning the layout of an SPS tank is whether to start with frags or larger pieces. Some folks like the instant gratification gained by adding bigger pieces, while others prefer starting with small frags and seeing them grow into colonies. My preference is to be patient and start with frags since they can evolve and grow more organically with the reef, providing a more natural look. Here is an example of a Cali tort that grew from this frag into this 16-inch monster, and a sexy corals orange passion frag that blossomed into this 10-inch colony, as well as this tub Stiletta that grew from this frag into a beautiful 12-inch colony. It did take up to 2 years for these frags to develop into colonies, but in my opinion, it was well worth the wait. No matter which way you go, give new corals room whether they are fast growers or not. It might seem okay to place a couple of slow-growing corals next to one another, but the tight placement will limit flow and impact their health. You will also want to avoid stressing out newly placed coral by pruning or moving it. It is also important to bone up on the lighting and circulation demands of the corals you are considering. For instance, the Oregon blue tort needs a lot of light and good flow and is happiest near the top of the tank. On the other hand, some corals such as the Tyree Icefire Echinata or ORA Hawkins do well in the middle or lower half of a tank where there is less flow and light. The hardiness of a coral is another factor one should consider. More demanding corals such as an Aqua SD Rainbow Millie should only be added after less demanding corals such as Montiporas establish themselves in a new tank. Finally, be careful with the fish you add and make sure they don't have a reputation as coral nippers. Certain angelfish are okay to have in an SPS-dominated reef, while others are definite no-nos. It can be a major undertaking to remove a fish from a mature reef, so do your homework on their habits and tendencies. A reef is a growing and evolving ecosystem with many interdependent pieces, so make sure you take this into consideration when building your masterpiece. Well, that will do it for this video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I also want to remind you about my premium SPS frag store on ReefBum.com. I will leave a link in the video description below. I will also leave links from my equipment store. I do sell GHL, Royal Exclusiv, and Pax Bellum equipment. Many of these products I do use personally on my tanks. And lastly, if you are interested, I do offer an online reef keeping masterclass which focuses on SPS dominant reefs. Hey, I really appreciate the view. Until next time, be safe and be well. Later.